Hey, it's Mo here, hanging out backstage at the Marquee Theater for our final Modelo Never Ending Summer Concert Series with the one and only Flay. Hello.
Hello, this is part of Never Ending Summer, so does this mean the summer's ending?
It never ends in Arizona. It's so hot. This is your first day of the Solutions Tour. How you feeling?
I'm feeling good. We've been in rehearsal for a bit, so we're ready. Yeah. We're prepared, we're dialed. But it's always like, there's like a very special energy, I think, on the first night of anything. It's kind of like, you prepare, you get kind of like mentally ready, but then like the energy of the crowd and everything sort of takes it to a new place. So it's always like, it's just an exciting moment.
Oh, yeah, definitely. And an exciting brand new stage you guys got going on. I was looking at all the videos on Instagram. It's massive. Yeah. What gave you the idea to do, I guess, like different multi-level stages on there?
Well, I'm a pretty like active performer, and I really like the physicality of being on stage and using my body in that way. So I was talking when we were starting to have production talks. We had actually, for the last tour, we didn't do it, but we had talked about this like jungle gym idea where I could just like roam around and like jump off things and climb on things. And I think for me, especially like, we've toured before. It's not our first rodeo. And I think ways to keep it exciting for us as the people on stage, and for me in particular, that makes my performance and my interaction with the crowd like different, and I think better, and just like taking it a little bit to the next level in terms of like what we're providing for people. And it's like a show.
Yeah.
And we really wanted to, I think with this album, one of my big goals was sort of like cohesive visuals and a real color palette and a real tone. And I wanted the live show to like reflect that. And I hope we've done that.
I think so. It's interesting. I've been following your career for a really long time now. And, even just your music has changed a bit. Whereas before, I would say it was probably a lot deeper and darker. Whereas now it is, I mean, not that it wasn't uplifting before, but there's a lot more light and color and upliftingness coming through there. What was the process from that change from the deeper aspects of it to now being more uplifting and lighter?
I think it's just, in many ways, I feel like the music that I make is the music like I need to help me stay afloat. Yeah. And on past records, I think it was like investigating and exploring some of those darker elements of who I am, and we all have that aspect to our personality and to our life. But with this record, it was like with the state of the world and getting off of a 3-year tour and being like, how do I be a human again? Yeah. I really was just looking for like these basic fundamental ways to live. And I think for me, it felt like almost imperative to take my perspective and shift it in a direction that felt hopeful, at least cautiously, and, in a lot of ways, and this is like part of a bigger conversation, but I feel like being like dark and moody and like angsty, that's like always cool, right? Like, It's not really that risky to be like, yeah, man, I'm fucked up. I'm like, that's like always been cool because I spit.
That's also cool too.
That's cool. But like, to me, the thing that should always be my compass north when I'm making anything should be, what's the scariest thing I could do? And to me, the scariest thing I could do is say, you know what? That's part of who I am, is that kind of like dark, moody person. But you know what feels really scary is to like get out there and say, I'm actually looking for some light.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Like, like for real. And that was like kind of the guiding principle. I was like, every song, I'm going to take that starting point of pain or angst or whatever and just shift and just try to see like, where's an opening here for me to feel like I can move forward, like there's a solution, like there's an answer to this problem.
With your song Bad Vibes, I was curious, what are, you talk about just negative people, just blocking them out of your life, which is absolutely necessary nowadays too, with asking for help. What are some top 3 things that are bad vibey that you're like, all right, just back off. Like, I don't need this.
Ooh. Well, the number one bad vibe is like just massive insecurity. Like when you encounter somebody who's just in such deep need of validation, for me, it's just a horrible vibe. Like, and I know we all have insecurities, but like when someone's just kind of oozing that, it just brings me down, because I love like I love when people are just who they are and just do that. Yeah. Like that gives me energy. That makes me excited to be out in the world. Yeah. It's like when I meet someone who's just like, this is me and I'm here. Yeah. Don't really need anything from you. I'm just gonna do myself. So that's one thing. Second thing, people like regurgitating things they've read without thinking about it for themselves. And this goes across all, this isn't even a political thing, but just like, I think it's good for people to like think about stuff and have an opinion that's their own. And I appreciate that about people. Yeah. And I don't like when people are really mean about their parents, unless their parents truly were horrible. And that sometimes does happen. But sometimes people are like mean to their parents and make fun of their parents. And I'm just like, those people probably like gave up all their like fun time and freedom to raise you and spent like a lot of money on you. Like, if you have real shitty parents, okay, fine. But assuming you don't, if you're lucky enough, then like
don't dog on your parents.
Just like chill, dude.
Yeah. Things could be way worse.
Oh, so much worse. So much worse.
Something cool that you've been doing too that I love. I've been actually tuning in on Alexa for this is your Microcast.
Oh, sweet.
So what started this whole idea?
The idea started because I actually got approached by my label about this like kind of new technology, basically to have original produced content on smart assistants, which are Alexas, Google Homes, things like that. And I'm a big podcast fan and a big fan of just like produced audio. What I do for a living, a form of it. And I just felt really excited about this idea that like these devices specifically exist in people's living spaces, like kitchens, living rooms, sometimes bedrooms, and about taking like a little element of my sort of like, peripatetic, always wherever life, and kind of bringing that to somebody's like home space. And that was like, and they were just like, yeah, you can do whatever you want. And here's like some tools to do it. And I have a production team, and we put this thing together every week, and it's really just about like psychologically, geographically, like what am I doing here? Because I mean, like even right now, we're in this like, where are we? It's like what am I doing here? Like this question just keeps like knocking on my head, and I think it can be a question that's like so funny and so depressing and so whatever. And so like the point of the Microcast is really just to kind of encapsulate all the elements of like what it's like to tour and travel.
Yeah. Do you ever find yourself like in a place where you're like, I need to bust out my phone and start talking about where I am now because it is that weird or that different than what you're used to?
Well, we just did, next week's episode is the Wisconsin State Fair.
Oh, man.
Yeah. And I had never been to a state fair before.
Really?
Mm-hmm. So I was just like,
oh, I can't wait for this episode.
It's pretty good one.
Oh, this is going to be good. I really, really enjoyed your article with GQ. Like, what made you want to come out with all of this?
Well, I think...
to let the world know.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's connected to a bigger conversation about nuance. And, I think when you, like, break down sort of, like, status in any society, like... A good barometer of sort of who has privilege is also who is given nuance, right? So like a straight white dude is represented in every possible way in culture, right? They could be rich, poor, homeless, on drugs, not on drugs, a lawyer, the president, the whatever. Like every emotional and circumstantial experience has been represented, and there's lots of nuance that we see. And as you move through different groups in society, culturally, we don't see that nuance, that level of nuance. And so to me, it's important when and where I can to contribute to the nuance conversation, because I think at least for me, so many of my peers in like the artistic community that I'm a part of in Los Angeles, like sexuality is just a complete spectrum, and everybody, it's this experience is very common, but I don't think it's always represented, and I'm lucky enough to have a platform to do it. And so it felt important to both me and my girlfriend and I to like have just a really honest and like low-key conversation. I mean, that was like Eve, who wrote the article, just came over to my place and we just sat on my couch, like drank tea and talked.
Dope.
Yeah.
It's so easy, so fluid.
So yeah, just very natural. And I think again, it's important that like all elements, and everybody has their own coming out story and their own way of kind of like navigating their sexuality. And some of those are like really fraught and really, really scary and really risky. And some are less so. And I think it's important to just see all of those experiences represented in our popular culture.